What's up, gamers? stoneaged here, and today I'm bringing you guys another World of Warcraft video. Today I'm going to be explaining to you the Tauren lore and how the individual classes affect them. There are three classes that mainly influence the Tauren history, and vice versa. Those classes are Warrior, Paladin, and Druid. Now, to understand the history of the classes, you're going to have to understand the history of the Tauren. Now, millions of years, maybe not millions, but eons of years ago, before Azeroth was even created, there is a being known as the Earth Mother. Now, the Earth Mother is this all-powerful, omnipotent being. She's like God. But better than God. And one day she's looking out in space and she noticed a zone, like an emptiness, and she created Azeroth, the homeworld of World of Warcraft. Now she was making it, she made Azeroth, and she was watching it grow, and in her shadow the Tauren grew. The Tauren emerged. And the Tauren love the Earth Mother. She is everything to them. They praise her. They love her. She is everything. They see her in the trees. They see her in the earth. They see her in the animals. They see her everywhere. She is everywhere. She's the one. Now, the Tauren are one of the oldest races on Azeroth. They're ancient. They sprung up as Azeroth did. They are about the same age as the Night Elves. And if you know about the Night Elf lore, they're like one of the most ancient beings of all. So let's begin. I'm going to start off by explaining to you the lore of the Warrior. And I count Hunters as being part of the Warrior class because they both pretty much just use weapons to go out and hunt. So the Tauren are giant. They're huge, just bulls. They can weigh from 625 pounds to 1,000 pounds. They're giant. They're huge. And because of their large stature, they're pretty good at swinging weapons, taking blows, and dealing bigger blows. Because of this, they became warriors. They would put on armor, they'd pick up weapons, and go to war. They used to be nomads back in the Barrens, which is a zone in Kalimdor. And there, they would hunt the wild animals. They'd hunt the giraffes. I forget what they're called. They'd hunt the giraffes. They'd hunt the kodo. They'd hunt all the wild animals. But they'd only take what they needed. Now, the hunters, they mainly used bows. They didn't really have guns back then, but they used bows. And I'm counting this as a warrior class because, again, they all use weapons, so... Like, one day the warrior would go grab his bow and go hunt, or maybe he'd grab his sword, or his broadaxe. So they're similar to that. And that's why the Tauren can be warriors. The next are the Druids. Now, Tauren Druids are pretty fascinating. In their mythology, in their history, they are the original Druids. Now, let me explain to you who Cenarius is. So, a long time back, the Tauren were out hunting the great stag, this great, beautiful white stag. They were chasing it for a long time until eventually, one day, the stag ran up into the sky to hide away from the Tauren. And up there, he met with Musha, the moon goddess. Now, Musha offered to protect this great white stag because he was so just beautiful. He was such a gorgeous creature. And it would be wrong for her to say no. So she hid him from the Tauren and saved him. And they fell in love. And the great stag and the moon goddess, Musha, had a child together, and that child was Cenarius, the demigod. Now Cenarius went down to Azeroth, and he was walking around. He's a centaur. I'll put a picture up. Now Cenarius was walking down to Azeroth, speaking with the trees, connected with nature. And then one day he saw the Tauren. And he went up to the Tauren and started talking, and he became great friends with the Tauren. And over time he taught them the ways of Druidism, how to speak with the trees, how to heal nature, how to connect with the animals, and overall come in contact with the Earth Mother more. Now this made the Tauren very happy. They were very grateful for Cenarius, until one day he decided that he wanted to go see more of the world. The Tauren were sad, but they understood, and he left. Now he actually went up to the Night Elves and taught the Night Elves Druidism, and the Tauren just, and so kind of just saying, oh, here's how to be a druid, doesn't really work after 10,000 years. So they forgot. But then once again, the Night Elves taught the Druids how to be, taught the Tauren how to be druids. And now the type of druidism that the Tauren knows is actually very Night Elvish, very elvish druidism. But they can still be druids, and they can connect with the Earth Mother in that way, and they connect with nature, speak with the trees and the animals. And that's why the Tauren can be druids. The next important class is the Paladin. Now, I'm going to mix the Paladin in with the Priest because they're very, very connected. So, for me to explain this, I need to explain to you a little bit more about the Earth Mother. Now, one day, the Earth Mother, after she created Azeroth, she started feeling very sad, and she got so sad that she pulled out her eyes. She pulled out her right eye and threw it into the cosmos, and his name was Anshi, and he was the sun. Now, she is so powerful that even her eyes are gods. So, her right eye, was the sun, and he was the sun god. And she threw him into space. She pulled out her left eye, who was Musha, the moon goddess, and threw her into space. That's how we got the moon and the sun. And the Musha is also the same moon goddess that fell in love with the great white stag. And so that's how we have the moon and the sun. And they're Anshi, the right eye of the Earth Mother, which is the sun, and Musha, the left eye of the Earth Mother, which is the moon. So that's how we have the moon and the sun. And now I'm going to read you a little passage between Aponi Brightmane and Tahu Sagewind, which were originally Tauren druids. Now, Pony Brightmane is a girl and Tahu Sagewind is a boy, so my voice acting might not be great, but here we go. Talk to me, Tahu. Something, anything. I'm going stir crazy. Tahu Sagewind laughed softly. All right, Aponi. I have enough on my mind to share. Have you ever spoken to the elves of Moonglade? Not much. The elves speak of a moon goddess. Did you know? They put great stock in the... Like Musha? Just like her. The parallels I've heard are interesting, and it's no secret all druids, Shuhalu and elf alike, can call upon Musha's light. Now, Shuhalu is what the Tauren call themselves. Where are you going with this? I wonder. Hamul has guided us well, and I've learned so much from The legends say that our people were druids when time began. I hear the but in your voice. But what Hamal teaches us is what the elves know, the night elves. They put such stock in their moon goddess as creatures of the night. Do you think his teachings are wrong? No, no, nothing like that. He is an elder for good reason, sister. Usha is one of the Earth Mother's eyes, and she watches over us. That isn't sinister. But we're nothing if not people who strive for balance. Our warriors fight only when there is need. Our hunters take only what the tribe requires to live, and use all they can when they do. The shamans stand as guide and mediator the elemental spirits. And while we, as druids, are guardians of nature, I wonder if we've overlooked a key aspect of balance in all things. So are you going to bring this up to the elder? No, no. No need for him to trouble about a student's idle philosophizing while he entertains a friend. I suppose so. It's not silly, though, what you said. Well, it isn't exactly a new thought, sister. I see that thoughtful frown, Tahu. Sorry, sister. It's nothing to worry about. But something is on your mind, right? I'm thinking about the front to the north, the one you're so eager to return to. What about it? I know I'm counseling patience, Apunai, but I don't like remaining here any more than you do. Times are bleak, and failing to act only makes me worry that my idle hand may have been the one to turn the tide. Still, there is balance in all things, even death. I simply hate the concept that such destruction and darkness might be necessary. And there's a phrase, it's always darkest before the dawn. The dawn will come, though, Tahu. The sun will rise, the balance will shift back to where it should be. Upon Brightmane smiles and gestures to the north. Even on the glacier itself, the sun manages to peek through the gloom. I have hope, Tahu. I think we'll make it through this, no matter how dire it looks. But I'd rather still be there on the front lines, helping it happen, rather than trying to placate myself with belief. We can't just sit around and hope it happens. I know, sister, I know. We'll return to fighting one day. For now, though, maybe it's best to spread the word to others. Give them hope, as you have. And through that hope, strengthen our side in the fight? That's the idea. Now, if you weren't following that, if that didn't make completely sense to you, it's fine. It took me a few readings to really get through it. But basically, Tahu, Sagewind, and Apunai, Brightmane, are saying that there's balance, that everyone strives, like the Tauren strive for balance, and while the Night Elves praise the Moon Goddess, there can't be any balance because no one's worshipping the sun. Now, eventually they branched off and decided to form the Sunwalkers with Sunwalker Desco, who is the chieftain of the Sunwalkers. And the Tauren Paladin, they call upon the power of the sun, they praise the sun, Anchi, which is the sun god, and they use his power for their spells, their light. Now, each race has an individual belief on what the light is. Like the Tauren believe it's the sun god. The Night Elves call upon the light of the moon goddess, the moonlight. Humans kind of believe it's like a god, like God. And so on and so on. So, the priests and the Tauren, priests and the paladins both believe in the sun god, and they both praise him. That's where they both get their power from. Now the priests mainly focus on like healing spells and spells in general, while the paladin focus on melee with some other spells, and for the sun god to help him in battle. And that's it. That's how the Tauren can be paladin. So what I just explained to you is how the Tauren could be warriors, paladins, hunters, and druids. But I didn't explain to you the other ones, and priests. Tauren can be shaman, because when the Tauren were nomads back in the Barrens, the shaman would contact the elements and learn about the land and say, oh, over there is dangerous, or we're going to go try to take that area over. Elements, can you help us? They would act as guides, and pretty much just any contact with the elements that are needed, like earth, water, fire, and air, the shaman wouldn't get done. And they're pretty prominent part of the Tauren society, but I felt like the warrior, paladin, druids were a bit more important. Next is the monk. The monks were introduced in Mist of Pandaria, obviously. So when the Horde Alliance found Pandaria, the Pandaren taught the Tauren and the other races how to be monks. So that's how they can be monks. Death Knights, when a Tauren, mainly warrior or maybe even paladin, would die in battle, they'd be resurrected by the Lich King and would serve in the Lich King's army, just like every other race. Now, the Tauren can't be rogues, obviously, because they're huge, they're giant, they would not be very good at sneaking around, so they're just too big, really, for this role. They can't be warlocks because they don't believe, they think it's against the Earth Mother, and it's not right magic, like it's wrong. They can't be mages because they don't lack the magical ability to use magic. They can be druids and shaman because it's more nature related and they're closer to nature. While being mages require you to be closer to like arcane feelings and magic, pure magic in general. But that's the Tauren. So that's the Tauren lore, everyone. Thank you for watching. Sorry if it was bad, but I feel like I did a pretty good job. The next race I'm probably going to do is probably the humans. Either the humans or the dwarves, one of those two, because I like those guys. But if you liked the video, leave a like, just a comment, say, cool, thank you for the lore. If you didn't like it, leave a like, because whatever. Subscribe if you want, it'll help me out so much. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.